I'm Heather Hewitt. Around Australia, state governments are offloading thousands of public housing homes in what must rank as one of the nation's biggest residential property transactions. In New South Wales, as in other states, old Housing Commission properties are being transferred to the community housing sector, which is made up of non-government organisations set up to provide subsidised, affordable housing. But are the rights of residents being respected in the process? In one Sydney suburb, tenants claim they're being threatened with eviction if they don't sign new leases. Nick Grimm reports.
Leanne Bonello's 4-year-old daughter Amy was just a baby when they first moved into their public housing unit.
That's it, Mama?
Yeah, now do those ones over there.
Like the garden they've planted in the bare ground outside, they've grown to love their home. But now they're worried about being uprooted.
I do a bit of work, I do a bit of study, do whatever I can for us to get ahead and to maybe, get out of public housing and get our own unit. But yeah, this has just put us on really shaky ground and not sure what's going to happen. Yeah, I've been born and bred in this area my whole life. My parents are in this area. My daughter's school's in this area. Everything is in this area.
A few weeks ago, Leanne Bonello and her neighbours discovered that a non-government housing company was taking over their publicly owned home units at South Coogee in Sydney's eastern suburbs.
We got a letter saying that we had 2 weeks' notice whether we wanted to sign over to this company or... And then when I rang and made some inquiries, I found out that if we didn't sign, we'd be moved. And it was just a really scary thing to happen right before Christmas.
What troubles the people living here most, they say, is the ambiguous information they say they've received from the state's housing department about what it all means.
There's a lot of people in their 80s and things and they wouldn't have a clue what's been done with this, what they've sent out in this literature and whatever.
It used to be known as the Housing Commission, but nowadays Housing New South Wales is putting a new face forward to the world and trying to dispel the negative image associated with public housing.
Which is to help build a stronger community by providing housing solutions for people in need.
Housing New South Wales is also ridding itself of thousands of old Housing Commission properties, handing over their ownership to what's known as community housing companies. Typically, they're non-government, not-for-profit organisations subsidised by the government. In recent years, they've grown rapidly to keep up with the increasing number of properties being cast off by states and territories eager to exploit the federal government's willingness to take over responsibility for funding public housing. John Nicolaides runs Bridge Housing Limited, the company now in the process of taking over Wauchope Crescent.
Since we had the community consultation with tenants in early November, about 50% of the tenants at Wauchope Crescent have agreed to transfer their tenancy to Bridge Housing.
But the problem for Bridge Housing is the other 50% of residents who've refused to sign new leases with Bridge Housing, despite, or perhaps because of, the $200 cash incentives being offered to clinch the deal.
It'd be so easy for people to say, yeah, I'll take the $200 without really knowing what they're getting themselves into.
I think this is very unfair, very sad. And I'm not going to sign. No way.
Anna Lopez has been a resident of Wauchope Crescent for more than 15 years. When she asked what would happen to her if she didn't sign a new lease, she says the answer was blunt.
They told me that they will be, take me from here, send me to somewhere else. And since that, I've been sort of very, very sad.
People who don't have knowledge of law cannot defend themselves and forced to give uninformed consent.
The majority are behind you.
Bruce Notley-Smith is a Liberal councillor on the local Randwick City Council who's thrown his support behind the residents.
Well, I'm disgusted with the way that they've conducted this whole process. What they've done is they've intimidated residents.
In what way are they intimidating the residents?
Well, they're ringing them, they're knocking on the doors repeatedly. Some people have had up to 4 visits from the Department of Housing saying, sign up by the deadline or the next visit you'll get will be from the relocation team.
A lot of the residents there say they don't want to sign these new leases. Will they need to move out?
That is something that Housing New South Wales will need to determine as to how they will deal with that issue. As far as we know, that Housing New South Wales would try and make some either try and rehouse those tenants, but they would work with those tenants in order to find a good housing solution for them.
But if elderly residents and those with a limited grasp of English had difficulty understanding what they were signing, Peter Nakov was totally in the dark. He's blind, and the thought of being forced to move to new and unfamiliar surroundings terrified him.
Yeah, I would say you have to live, I don't know, with 60 days or something like this, or have to ask New South Wales Housing Commission to give you other things. But I don't think somebody give you for that short time other place, and I can't move. Because not only for the furniture, but also I have to be trained how I got to survive another place. I can't move. So I don't have other choice than to sign.
Did you feel pressured or rushed?
I was very upset for 3 weeks. I never sleep well. It's very hard for me, very hard, very depressed. No, I can see only white and black, nothing else, you know.
The 7:30 report took a look at the lease that Bridge Housing helped Peter Nakov to sign. In fact, they quite literally held his hand. They put your hand on that spot?
That's all right, with a pen.
And
with a pen under my hand, they put it exactly where I have to sign, and I just sign. And they move again, hand where I have to sign again, and again, and again, and again.
And at the top of the page, it states, "Please read this agreement through carefully before and after signature."
I cannot read, I cannot see, I just believe only what they told me, you know. Nobody told me these things.
We've been very clear that the tenants should consider the offer and go and get independent advice before they sign any agreement with us, because we want them to really consider what they're doing.
You would have to agree, though, that if a blind resident is being asked to sign a form which has only just been put in front of him, then he's not making an informed decision.
Well, yes, but whether that happened in this circumstance, I would need to go back and ask what happened in that particular situation, but I would be very surprised that my staff would have coerced people to sign a lease.
Bridge Housing has since apologised to Peter Nakov for any anxiety he's suffered. When the 7:30 report drew Peter Nakov's story to the attention of Housing New South Wales, it provided this statement confirming that residents do not have to sign a new lease and they don't have to leave their homes.
No tenants in Warhope Crescent, South Coogee, are being forced to transfer to community housing or relocate. If they do not wish to transfer, they may opt to transfer to another public housing property, or they can remain where they are.
Residents now asking why Housing New South Wales and Bridge Housing didn't spell that out from the outset. Instead, they feel their rights have been ignored.
I definitely think so. And the fact that most people here wouldn't be able to understand the information that has been given to us, I think, have been taken advantage of.
Nick Grimm reporting.